A rich man ignored the beggar until his son stopped, looked back, and said, "Dad, that's Mom." The rain was falling hard that morning, the kind of cold, sharp rain that soaked through coats and shoes in seconds. New York streets were loud, impatient, and unforgiving, horns blaring, people rushing, everyone lost in their own world. Ethan Cross didn't notice any of it. He walked fast, eyes fixed forward, expensive shoes splashing through puddles without care. His tailored coat was worth more than most people's rent. His watch gleamed even under gray skies. To the city, he looked untouchable, powerful, successful, complete. Beside him walked his 8-year-old son, Noah, struggling to match his father's long steps. Noah's small hand was wrapped tightly around Ethan's fingers, his backpack bouncing with each hurried stride. "We're going to be late," Ethan muttered, glancing at his phone. "The driver's waiting." They passed storefronts, bus stops, crowds huddled under umbrellas, and then they passed her. A woman sat on the sidewalk near the corner, half hidden by a bus stop sign. Her clothes were worn thin, her hair was tangled, damp from the rain. A cardboard sign rested against her knees. "Anything helps. God bless." Ethan didn't slow down, didn't look, didn't care. He stepped around her like she was just another crack in the pavement. But Noah did something different. He stopped. His hand slipped out of Ethan's grip, sudden and firm. Ethan took 3 more steps before realizing his son wasn't beside him anymore. "Noah?" he snapped, turning around. "What are you doing?" Noah was frozen, staring at the woman on the ground. The noise of the city seemed to fade as the boy's face changed. Confusion, shock, and then something deeper, something that made his chest tighten. His voice came out small, unsteady. "Dad." Ethan followed his gaze, annoyed. "Come on, we don't have time for—" Noah swallowed hard. "That's Mom." The words hit like a car crash. Ethan laughed once, short, sharp, disbelieving. "That's not funny. Your mom is—" He stopped, because the woman had looked up. Her eyes met Noah's, and then her face broke. Not to tears, not yet, but into recognition. Pure, painful recognition. Her lips trembled as she whispered a name she hadn't said out loud in years. "Noah." Ethan's world tilted. That voice, he knew that voice. His heart slammed against his ribs as he stepped closer, really looking for the first time. The dirt, the exhaustion, the hollow cheeks, it all faded as memory rushed in. The smile she used to give him, the way her eyes softened when she laughed, the woman he once loved. "Emily?" he breathed. She flinched like his voice hurt her. "I didn't want you to see me like this," she said quietly. People walked past them. Cars splashed water onto the curb. Life went on, uncaring. But for Ethan Cross, CEO, billionaire, untouchable man, everything shattered in that moment. Because the woman he had once left behind, the woman he believed was gone forever, was sitting on the cold sidewalk, begging for change. And his son, his little boy, was looking at him with tears in his eyes. "Dad," Noah whispered, gripping his backpack straps, "why is Mom living here?" Ethan had no answer, not one that would destroy him. Ethan stood there longer than he realized. Rain soaked through his coat now, but he didn't move. The city kept rushing past them, strangers stepping around the scene like it didn't matter, like it wasn't a man staring at the woman who had once been his whole world. Emily slowly pushed herself up from the ground, her knees shaking. She didn't ask for help. She never had. Noah rushed forward first. "Mom," he cried, wrapping his arms around her waist. Emily froze. For a second, she didn't move at all, like she was afraid if she touched him, he'd disappear. Then she dropped her sign, knelt down despite the pain, and held her son like she'd been holding her breath for years. "Oh, baby," she whispered into his hair. "My sweet boy." Ethan watched them, chest tight, guilt burning through him like acid. Noah pulled back just enough to look at her face. "Why are you here?" he asked softly. "Did you get lost?" Emily's smile wobbled. She brushed rain from his forehead. "No," she said gently. "I didn't get lost." She glanced up at Ethan then. Her eyes weren't angry. That hurt more. "You look different," Ethan said quietly. "So do you," she replied. There was a pause, heavy, loaded with everything unsaid. "We can't do this here," Ethan finally said. "You're soaked. Noah's soaked. Come with us." Emily shook her head instantly. "No." "Emily." She said no. Her voice was calm but firm. "I'm not walking into your life like this." Noah looked between them, confused. "Dad, she's my mom. Why can't she come with us?" Ethan crouched in front of his son. "Buddy, we just need to talk first." Emily stood, wiping her hands on her coat. "I don't want anything from you, Ethan." "That's not true," he said, frustration slipping in. "You're out here begging. For food, not for you." Silence fell again. Finally, she sighed. Tired. So deeply tired. "5 minutes," she said. "There's a cafe across the street. That's all." Ethan nodded instantly. 5 minutes. The cafe was warm, crowded, loud with the hiss of steam and clatter of cups. Emily sat stiffly at a corner table, hands wrapped around a mug Ethan had ordered without asking. Noah sat pressed against her side like he was afraid she'd vanish again. Ethan sat across from them, feeling like a stranger at his own table. "You left. You took Noah and disappeared." Emily looked down at her cup. "You told me to." "That's not true." She met his eyes. "You said, if you walk out that door, don't come back." Ethan opened his mouth, then closed it, because he remembered. He remembered shouting, the stress, the deals falling apart, the nights he came home late and exhausted, the way he'd stopped listening. "I didn't mean forever," he said. "But I did," Emily replied quietly. Noah looked up at her. "Why didn't you come to my school or my birthdays?" Her throat tightened. "Because I thought you were better off without me." Ethan felt something crack inside his chest. "That's insane," he said. "You were his mother." Emily laughed once, hollow. "And what was I to you? An inconvenience?" He didn't answer fast enough. That was answer enough. "I tried," she continued. "I worked 2 jobs. I slept on couches. I kept Noah fed, safe, loved." She took a shaky breath. "Then I got sick." Noah's eyes widened. "Sick?" Emily nodded. "Really sick." Ethan leaned forward. "Why didn't you call me?" "Because the last time I asked for help," she said, voice breaking for the first time, "you told me to stop being dramatic." The cafe noise faded. "I lost my job, then the apartment, and then," she gestured vaguely, "this." Noah grabbed her hand. "You should have told Dad." She smiled at him, tears finally falling. "I didn't want you to see me like this." Ethan stood abruptly. "You're not leaving this cafe like this." Emily looked up. "Ethan, you're coming home," he said, "both of you." She shook her head slowly. "That's not your decision anymore." Noah looked between them, voice small but firm. "I want my mom." That did it. Ethan swallowed hard. "So do I." The drive was quiet. Too quiet. Ethan sat behind the wheel, gripping it tighter than necessary. The city lights blurred past the windows, reflections dancing across the windshield. Noah sat in the back seat, his head resting against Emily's arm, afraid to let go of her even for a second. Emily stared out the window, saying nothing. "You can stay at the guest house," Ethan finally said, "just for tonight." She nodded once. "Tonight is fine." The mansion gates opened slowly, iron and glass and security lights everywhere. Noah's eyes widened. "Dad, this is huge." Emily flinched at the word, huge. Everything Ethan had built was huge now, and yet somehow it all felt small. The guest house was warm, clean, filled with soft lighting and quiet music. Ethan handed Emily a towel and fresh clothes. "You can shower," Ethan said. "I'll make something for Noah." She hesitated. "Thank you." It wasn't forgiveness, just politeness. While Emily was in the bathroom, Noah sat at the kitchen island, swinging his legs. "Dad?" he asked. "Yeah, buddy? Why did you and Mom stop loving each other?" Ethan froze. "We didn't," he said slowly. "I just forgot how to show it." Noah frowned. "That's worse." Ethan swallowed. When Emily came out, clean and changed, she looked different. Still thin, still tired, but more like the woman Ethan remembered. They sat across from each other while Noah ate quietly. "You said you got sick. What happened?" Emily's fingers tightened around her mug. "Stage 2 ovarian cancer," she said softly. The words landed hard. Ethan's breath left his lungs. "When?" 3 years ago. 3? He stood abruptly. "You were living on the street with cancer?" "I didn't have insurance, and I didn't have you." Guilt slammed into him full force. "I did chemo when I could. Shelters helped sometimes. Churches. Strangers." She smiled faintly. Funny how strangers showed more kindness than the man who once promised forever. Noah's fork clattered onto his plate. "You could have died," he whispered. Emily reached for him immediately. "I'm still here, baby." Ethan knelt beside her chair. "Why didn't you tell me? I would have paid for everything." She looked at him, eyes steady. "I didn't want your money. I wanted your care." Silence stretched. "I was proud," she admitted, "and I was hurt, and maybe I wanted you to feel what it was like to lose me." That hurt, but it was honest. Ethan said suddenly, "I looked for you." She blinked. "What?" "I hired people," he said. I never imagined you'd end up like this." Emily laughed quietly. "Neither did I." Later that night, Ethan stood outside the guest house, staring up at the stars he never had time to look at. He realized something terrifying. All his money couldn't undo the past, and all his power couldn't guarantee she'd stay. Inside, Noah lay asleep beside Emily on the couch, his arm draped protectively over her. For the first time in years, Ethan felt like an outsider in his own family. And for the first time, he knew it was his fault. The sound woke him. A sharp thud. Ethan bolted upright in bed, heart racing. For a split second, he thought he'd imagined it. Then he heard Noah screaming, "Dad! Dad!" Ethan ran. The guest house door was open. The lights were on. Noah was kneeling on the floor, crying, shaking Emily's shoulders. "Mom, wake up! Please wake up!" Emily lay crumpled beside the couch, her skin pale, her breathing shallow. Ethan dropped to his knees. "Call 911, he said, already checking her pulse. "My phone!" cried Noah, hands trembling. Ethan grabbed it, shouting into the receiver as he pressed his coat under Emily's head. "She's unconscious. History of cancer. Please hurry." Emily's eyes fluttered open briefly. "Ethan," she whispered. "I'm here," he said urgently. "Stay with me." She tried to smile. "Guess pride doesn't feed the body forever." The sirens came fast. Too fast. Too loud. Noah clutched Ethan's arm as paramedics lifted Emily onto the stretcher. "Is she going to die?" Noah sobbed. Ethan knelt, gripping his son's face. "No, not tonight." But fear burned behind his eyes. The hospital smelled like antiseptic and memories. Ethan paced while doctors worked. Noah sat curled in a chair, clutching Emily's coat like a lifeline. A nurse approached. "Are you family?" "Yes, Ethan said instantly. "I'm her husband." Emily's voice echoed in his head. "I didn't want your money. I wanted your care." The doctor came out an hour later. "She's severely malnourished and her cancer treatment was incomplete." Ethan's chest tightened. What does that mean? It means her body's been fighting alone for a long time. Noah stood suddenly. "You have to save her." The doctor softened. "We'll do everything we can." While Emily slept, Ethan went through her bag just to find an ID. Instead, he found a folded envelope. His name was written on it. His hands shook as he opened it. Inside was a letter and a legal document. The letter came first. "Ethan, if you're reading this, it means I failed to stay invisible. I didn't leave to punish you. I left because I was disappearing in your world, and I couldn't let Noah watch me fade. If I die, please don't tell him I was homeless. Tell him I was brave. Tell him he loved him more than my pride. And please, let him keep his kindness. Don't let him become you." Ethan broke. The document beneath it was worse. A signed custody transfer. If Emily died, Noah would go to foster care. Not Ethan, because she never trusted him to choose love over ambition. He sank into a chair, hands over his face. He had lost her once, and now he might lose them both. Morning came without mercy. Ethan hadn't slept. He sat in the hospital chair all night, staring at Emily through the glass, listening to the machines breathe for her. Noah slept curled against his side, one hand gripping Ethan's jacket like it was the only thing keeping him steady. A nurse approached quietly. "Mr. Cross, there's someone here to see you." Ethan looked up. "Who?" "A woman from Child Protective Services." The words felt like a knife. The CPS worker was calm, professional, unreadable. She held a clipboard and sympathy that didn't quite reach her eyes. "We were notified about the custody document found with Miss Carter," she said. "Until further notice, the child is under state review." Noah woke instantly. "You're not taking me," he said, voice shaking but firm. "I belong with my mom." Ethan stood. "He belongs with me." The woman raised an eyebrow. "Are you on his birth certificate?" Ethan hesitated. "No," he admitted. Emily never asked. She never trusted him enough. The CPS worker nodded. "Then legally, you're not his guardian." Noah's face crumpled. "Dad!" Ethan knelt, gripping his son's shoulders. "I'm not losing you," he said. That afternoon, Ethan Cross did something no one expected. He walked out of a board meeting, mid-sentence. Phones buzzed, stocks dipped, his assistant panicked. He didn't care. He called his lawyer. "Cancel everything," he said. "I'm fighting for my son." The courtroom was cold and unforgiving. Emily lay unconscious in a hospital bed while strangers debated her child's future. Noah stood beside Ethan when the judge asked him a simple question. "Where do you want to live?" Noah swallowed hard. Then he stepped forward. "With my mom and my dad." The room stilled. The judge looked at Ethan. "You're asking for emergency guardianship. Are you prepared to give up control of your schedule?" "Yes." "Your company?" "Yes." "Your lifestyle?" Ethan didn't hesitate. "Everything." Because suddenly it all meant nothing without them. That night, Emily opened her eyes. Ethan was there instantly. "Noah?" she whispered. "He's safe, and so are you." She tried to sit up. "You shouldn't be here." "I should have always been here," he said quietly. Tears slid down her cheeks. For the first time in years, Ethan didn't wipe them away. He let them fall. Emily woke slowly, like her body didn't quite trust the world yet. The room was dim. Machines hummed softly. For a moment, she thought she was alone, until she felt a warm hand holding hers. Ethan. She pulled her hand back instinctively. "Where's Noah?" "Down the hall," he said. "They're running tests. He wouldn't leave until he knew you were okay." Her shoulders relaxed a fraction. "Good." Silence filled the space. Then she spoke. "I never meant for him to find me like that." Ethan nodded. "I know. I never meant for you to, either." "I know that too." She studied his face, searching for something. Regret? Pity? Guilt? "I read the letter," he said. Her eyes widened. "You weren't supposed to." "I was," he replied softly. "I just didn't know it until now." Emily turned her face toward the window. "I didn't trust you." He didn't argue. "I thought you'd choose work again, that you'd take Noah because you could, not because you wanted to." Ethan's voice broke. "I already chose work once." She looked back at him then. "You broke me." The words landed heavy. "I know," he said, "and I don't expect forgiveness." She exhaled shakily. "Then why are you still here?" "Because Noah needs his mom, and because I still love you." Her breath hitched. "I never stopped," he added. "I just buried it under meetings and money." Tears filled her eyes. "Love doesn't survive neglect." "I know," he whispered, "but people can change." Before she could answer, Noah burst into the room. "Mom!" He ran to her side, climbing carefully onto the bed, hugging him as tightly as the wires allowed. "I was scared," he said into her shoulder. "I'm here," she whispered. "I promise." Noah pulled back and looked between them. "You're not going to send me away, right?" Emily's heart broke. "Never." Ethan placed a hand over Noah's. "Not as long as I'm breathing." Noah nodded slowly. Then he said something that cut deeper than anything else. "I used to pretend you were dead," he admitted quietly, "because it hurt less than thinking you didn't want me." Emily sobbed openly. Ethan closed his eyes, guilt crushing his chest. "I won't let that be our story anymore," Ethan said. "I swear." Later that night, Emily watched Ethan sleeping in the chair beside her. She whispered into the quiet, unsure if he could hear. "If you hurt him again, I won't survive it." Ethan stirred just enough to answer, "I won't." And for the first time, she believed him. Emily stayed in the hospital for 3 weeks. 3 long weeks of IV drips, test results, and quiet mornings where Noah did homework on the edge of her bed, while Ethan sat nearby, answering emails he no longer cared about. On the 22nd day, the doctor smiled. "She's responding," he said. "Slowly, but she's responding." Noah whooped so loud the nurses laughed. Ethan just closed his eyes and let the relief wash over him. The news broke 2 days later. Business channels exploded. Shareholders panicked. Analysts speculated. No one understood, except the boy standing beside him at the press conference. "My son reminded me," Ethan said into the microphones, "that success without love is just a lonely kind of failure." Noah squeezed his hand. Emily watched from the hospital TV, tears streaming down her face. For the first time, Ethan chose them in front of the whole world. The court granted temporary guardianship. Noah moved into the guest house with Emily after she was discharged. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't healed, but it was together. One night, Noah stood in the doorway of Ethan's room. "Dad?" "Yes?" "Are you still rich?" Ethan smiled sadly. "Yeah." Noah thought for a second. "Trade some of it for more time with us." Ethan knelt. "I already did." Emily grew stronger every day. One afternoon, she sat beside Ethan on the porch. "You didn't have to give up your company," she said. "I had to give up who I was becoming," he replied. She studied him. This doesn't erase the past. I'm not trying to erase it. I'm trying to honor it. She reached for his hand, just for a second. 5 years later. The city still moved fast, still loud, still unforgiving. But Ethan Cross walked slower now. He wasn't in a hurry anymore. Noah, taller and steadier, walked beside him, his hands in his pockets, eyes observant in that thoughtful way he'd grown into. Emily walked on the other side, her steps careful but strong, a scarf tied loosely around her hair. She was healthy. Not just alive, healthy. They stopped at the same corner, same bus stop, same cracked sidewalk. A woman sat there now, older than Emily had been that day, holding a cardboard sign. The words were written in uneven marker. Anything helps. People rushed past. Ethan felt Noah slow, then stop. He smiled, because this time, Ethan stopped first. He knelt in front of the woman, met her eyes, and handed her more than cash. He handed her a card. "There's a shelter 2 blocks from here," he said gently. "Ask for Grace. She'll help." The woman's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you." Noah watched, chest warm. Emily squeezed Ethan's hand. Later, as they walked away, Noah said quietly, "If I hadn't stopped that day," Ethan finished the thought, "I would have lost everything that mattered." Emily looked at both of them. "Sometimes love doesn't disappear," she said. "It just waits to be seen." Ethan looked back once more at the sidewalk, not with guilt, with gratitude, because the richest thing he owned now was walking beside him. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories that remind us what truly matters. Your support helps us keep sharing stories of love, kindness, and second chances.